In the video, we're going to talk about the S-Lab Pulsar from Salomon. It weighs a mere 175 grams in a US 9, probably the lightest trail shoe ever created, and it has a lot of substance. So we're going to go through its features. We're going to give you our first impressions of the ride and the fit from trail and road, from New Hampshire to Jeremy in France. And Adam, up also in New Hampshire, is going to give you, in a separate video, a comparison to the S-Lab Sense 8. Stay tuned. Well, everybody, let's take a look at the Salomon S-Lab Pulsar, which is just now releasing. This is clearly the successor to the S-Lab Sense, and it weighs under 6 ounces, 169 grams in my US 8.5. So we should see it come in probably something like 6.2 ounces, 175 grams in a US 9. So that is 20 grams lighter than the Sense 8. And on top of that, Running Warehouse has the full stack height at 27 millimeters, heel 21 forefoot. You actually ride on a softer Strobel board, no sock line. Whereas our Sense 8 had 2016, so it goes from a 4 millimeter to a 6 millimeter drop shoe with more cushioning. So clearly the upper is a big part of the story here. It is a Matrix upper. It's what's called Matrix Evo, and the upper, you can see, is very dense but very thin. The upper has aramid fibers, which you can see the colored elements, which give it the structure and also the durability. It works really well. The result is an upper that is both highly supportive and very comfortable. There is a full toe bumper, and it is a robust one. You can see we have a rand, if you will, that protects the bottom at the midsole, and it also is integral to the toe bumper. The material, you can see, is very dense. Not too much, but it's very thin as well. While it's dense, you can also see through it, so I think it will be anti-debris, as Salomon says. So you can see those aramid fibers that reinforce and give it the structure. And then, of course, we have our quick lace, which handily tucks in here. I'll show you how that goes on the run. There's quite a bit of padding on the inside, not too much. It's very kind of subtle, but there. We have a full heel counter. The Pulsar clearly has a bit more substantial heel counter, a little broader also. You can see how soft the 7 is. You can also see how much the 7 collapses medially. Now it's worn, but not overly worn. Whereas here we see much truer and flatter. And you can also see the difference now. We have a knit kind of collar versus a more traditional one. Now the 8, of course, was different with more of a knit type collar. Not totally stiff except at the very rear. So you can see all this molds the foot. We're going to see how it all performs. And of course that kind of higher knit collar to keep out debris. What I really think is interesting is the application of the quick lace. You can see how neatly it tucks away, but it isn't easy to get it in there. And then, unlike I think some of the earlier S-Lab shoes, it's well padded. We're going to see how that works on the run. So what is this shoe for? Well, this is, I would say, the successor to the Sense for the Kilian shoe. Kilian has been heavily involved in the development of this shoe and has been seen wearing it in races, including at Sierre-Zinal last year, where he won yet again. Now, what was Kilian looking for, and what maybe we'll appreciate, is we have a new midsole foam. It is clearly softer than the S-Lab Sense 8. It's not a super soft foam, but this foam is a combination of olefin and EVA. It's Salomon's Infuse from Dow. Salomon calls the midsole foam Energy Surge, and it has a softer durometer than we're used to from Salomon for comfort. I can attest to that. It has significantly less compression setting for durability. That remains to be tested, of course. It has significantly faster recovery from compression setting or rebound, and I can attest to that. This midsole has lots of rebound, and it is also said to be lightweight and flexible. So it definitely has a dual density midsole. You can see this colored area here on the medial side. That is definitely a firmer foam than what's above it, behind it, and in front of it. So that should provide some stability on the medial side, because this is a very narrow platform. And you can also see it has a bit of the swallowtail kind of effect, as we're seeing on some other shoes. We also have Salomon's new R-camber geometry, which we just tried in the Index 01. So they should be a rockered ride. They're a stiff shoe as of right now. I expect them to remain fairly stiff, but they'll probably soften up a bit in that sense real soon. Now, as far as the outsole, so it's Contagrip. As always with Salomon, you can see it's a long, full plate. I think this will also contribute to the rocker geometry. We're seeing more shoes with a rocker and a relatively rigid profile, where the outsole and the midsole are kind of mold or shaped together to provide that rocker. As far as the lug depth, looks like 3 millimeters, not much more. You can see the wide, kind of long pads, but also lots of angles. So we'll see how they grip on the snow and, of course, on the dirt when we can get to them. So it's released now. It's $180. It is an amazingly light shoe for the amount of substance here, even compared, I would say, to just about any road running shoe. So this is clearly a sock-like construction with the mesh and then the tongue all integral. But I can tell you already, it is not a sloppy sock, that's for sure. And the matrix here is really, really substantial feeling. And you can also see we have some padded bolsters on the inside. We don't have a sock liner here. The lasting board is the sock liner. That clearly, I'm sure, also helps save weight. It's kind of a soft, leathery feel, and there is some give to it. So it also acts as a sock liner. Even though there's no sock liner, you can see there's an arch support underlay, and then also just behind the stretched tongue, there's also an overlay that runs along the top side near the laces. So that also provides support, and I assume also gives you that incredible wrap over the top of the foot. So, as they say, it's time to play. So let's see how they go. So the grip and stability on this kind of bumpy stuff is very good, especially that rear stability. The fit is true to size for me at my 8.5, and considerably less snug, especially towards the front, than in the Sense 7 for me. Okay, in terms of fit, no question, true to size and very accommodating in the toe box. Not the widest, but the height, I think, of the toe bumper and the broad, a bit broader than usual for Salomon. This is really just a beautiful fit. Now, the key part of the fit is the upper has no stretch, while the tongue does. So the foot lockdown here at the heel and all the way through is just absolutely amazing. I can't recall a trail shoe with this good kind of bonding of the foot to the platform, security and stability. And that's despite the very narrow platform. You're just absolutely one with the shoe here. The quick laces, difficult to stuff in at first, but you're not going to be adjusting it much ever, I don't think, because I haven't once yet. So really an amazing upper here, about the best in terms of hold, lightweight, comfort that I have found. Okay, let's talk about the ride of our S-Lab Pulsar. So here are some of Jeremy's pros from our upcoming review. It's a comfortable sock with an incredible midsole and outsole glued to it. Cushion to weight ratio is second to none, above every shoe I have run, road or trail. Agile, secure, easy, fast, comfortable, trail, road, you name it. The Pulsar delivers. Combination of midsole foam and geometry results in a responsive, propelling ride that's never jarring. As I usually do, I'm going to give you my impressions immediately after the run. I've done two, so I'm going to give you my impressions after each of them. There may be some repetition. The second run was a longer run, mostly on bumpy snow, while the first had a shorter section of trail and road. Not to worry, I did get in some trails, icy stuff, kind of potholed, and some roads for my first run. I'm going to go out again tomorrow on more snow-covered trails, but let me give you some first impression. Okay, so you've got a fairly firm heel here. I think due to the 23 millimeter stack at the heel, but also because of the insert. And you can see there's some creasing of the midsole. Not sure that's functional, but I tend to be a heel striker, and you can see that's going on. So you've got a firm, super stable ride at the rear. If you include the Strobel board, which acts as the sock liner, as there is none here, you get a 27 millimeter heel, which is decently low, really, for a modern road shoe. But the feel of the heel is definitely softer than the S-Lab Sense from before. And up front, it's softer, very agile feeling. Kind of, you can feel your toes splaying and working. I think the outsole plays a great role. The grip on some, hard packed snow and all those bumpy kind of icy things was pretty darn good for these quite low lugs. But the key thing is you'll feel incredible rear stability this shoe through the midfoot, from the upper and that insert, and the real heel collar, and the tongue, the stretched tongue. The fit is really, really super. I didn't have any need to retie at all, so that little bit of a tight pocket for the quick lace, as you can see there, you got to kind of pinch where the S is to get it in there, I don't think will be much of an issue. You're going to lace these once and off you go, because the upper doesn't stretch much at all here. It's just a very glove-like fit, very, very secure, comfortable on the foot. Pretty incredible, really, for a shoe that weighs just over 6 ounces. So this is going to be quite a contender, I think. To me, it's even though I said the heel's kind of firm, it's not nearly as firm as the Sense 7, my last one, in the soft ground. But up front, you really have much more agility, I think, because I can really feel much more kind of get up and go off the front. There is, yes, a bit of a rocker. That is felt as well. Seems to work really well. So I did run some roads. So a couple thoughts about that. If you're a person who really needs a stability racing shoe at 6 ounces, say for, of the more plateless, not super soft, bouncy, and generally stability needs a bit more firmness, this would be an incredible road race shoe for your kind of strike pattern, if that's for you. For me, I think it's going to be just a fantastic trail runner. How far will I run in it? I would easily run a half marathon distance, maybe more. To me, it seems the forefoot seems more forgiving than the Sense Pro 4, which I raced a half in. And of course, when I say it's firm, that was on the road. Here, of course, we've got a full-blown trail shoe, and things tend to kind of feel softer on actual trail, and nobody's going to regret having the stability. As far as that little swallowtail, yes, I noticed it on initial landing. There was some give, more give than I recall in the Sense 7 soft ground. And then what you feel is the medial side kicking in, the stability there. The 23 millimeters contributes to kind of a firm low feel, not low, you don't feel like you're bottoming out, but just utmost stability for difficult terrain. Pretty amazing. 6 ounces, 20 grams less than the Sense S-Lab Sense 8. Some thoughts after my second run, also on snow, but with some road, bumpier and a bit longer run in the woods in Stratham, New Hampshire. I would divide the ride into 3 parts. First, on a steep road downhill, you get a lot of nice softness from the heel. Then on the flats, you feel the support and stability from that firmer post there at midfoot. So you've got a very stable platform. And then up front, you've got a nice agile toe off. You definitely can feel the arc-camber rocker working. You really feel like your toes are engaged with the ground. We don't know yet about the rock protection because it doesn't appear to be a pro feel, but it's not overly soft. And I believe with this extensive rubber, you're going to get a more than decent protection. After all, this is a go fast shoe that weighs only 175 grams. Now, in terms of the upper and how it plays with the rest of the shoe, I can't recall a trail shoe where I am so secure and stable on the platform. Even though we have a very narrow platform, your foot is completely wedded to it. It's really quite amazing. I never experienced anything so secure, and especially in such a light shoe. A particular note is the rear stability from upper and platform. Just incredible. The running today had some quite a few kind of frozen potholes with some fresh snow over, and just total stability and security no matter what. Of course, our upper, that doesn't have stretch except for the tongue, really plays a big role. Very comfortable toe box. It's not the widest, but I think it'll accommodate more than just narrow feet, as Salomon's often did. I mentioned earlier the feeling on steeper downhills. I think the kind of swallowtail plays into that. You've got a kind of a soft landing on the downhill, and then when you're on the flats, as I did quite a bit of road, you've got a highly kind of responsive rebound effect and stability from that insert right in here. I have no question that this would also be an absolutely outstanding road racing flat at 6.2 ounces, particularly for those who want a bit of extra stability in a road racing flat. So definitely consider it for that. As far as its grip on the snow, yesterday I didn't have traction. It was fine on kind of moderately firm snow. Today I used traction because it was quite a bit icier where I came. Yeah, you'll have some issues pulling them on, but that gives you that security. The lace garage, you'll have some issues getting it tucked in, but I haven't had to touch the laces since I put them on. So in terms of the foam here, it's definitely softer than the Energy Cell Plus kind of stuff and the stuff that you've found in earlier S-Lab scents. We should also mention the Sense Pro 4, which had an infused midsole, same basis as here, but with more EVA, less olefin, so less rebound and firmer. And it also had, for sure, the Profeel film, so the forefoot I found firmer. Much more forgiving, but not overly soft. And as I said, everything stays super stable. So this is really the ultimate trail racing machine as far as I can tell at the moment. Product of several years of research and development with great involvement by Kilian Jornet, who won his, I think, 7th or 8th, maybe Siezinal, early version of this shoe. So we've got that rocker profile. We've got a more lively EVA olefin foam. We've got an outsole that's not high profile, but plays well with the shoe. We've got an incredible non-stretch matrix upper, which should prove really quite durable. It's thin, it's not super pliable, quite dense, but thin. It should breathe very well. My feet were a little chilled today in the snow, so this is really an incredible shoe. Also, please check out Adam Gluick's comparison between the Pulsar and the S-Lab Sense 8 and his initial take, linked here. We're going to have a full multi-tester written review as well. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll hope you subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much for watching.